Hello, I'm meteorologist Don Lures, and thank you for joining us for this edition of Weather Awareness. Well, it is hard to believe, but here we are beginning June and already officially into hurricane season across the USA. And of course, that includes right here across the PD. We want to help you get ready for that so you can be prepared just in case a tropical storm or hurricane does come this way. And to help us do that from an insurance perspective, we have Barbara Causey with the Bradley Insurance Group here. Barbara, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Don, for having me.
I tell you what, if you want an insurance expert, you're the right one. I've known you for 20 plus years, and you've been doing insurance all that time, and you've always impressed me that you really look out and watch out for the individuals that you're helping.
Well, thank you.
And that's what I want to do today, is talk about folks that are watching at home, be it across Marion County or Dillon County, thinking, I didn't even think about hurricane season, but here it is. What should they be doing to make sure they're covered?
Well, one of the biggest things, and we've had bulletins from the insurance department about this as well, is the building costs have escalated. I read somewhere recently that building costs are up like 250%. This is in the last year. Yes,
I've heard the same thing, especially lumber. I've heard if you're building a house from scratch, the average modest house, you've added $30,000 to the cost of building it.
And then when you consider renovations or repairs, that increases as well, because the cost to renovate or repair exceeds the cost of new construction, from the simple standpoint that you have to work around what's already there.
Exactly.
So I use the illustration, say for instance, when you're building that house, you haven't landscaped and anything, and then if something happens and you have to call somebody in, you don't want cement trucks rolling across that sodded yard and all those beautiful plants and those kind of things. So they have to make adjustments and work around what they can do. Therefore, the cost to renovate and or repair is always considerably more.
Exactly. You could also look at it like if you bought a new car, it costs one price. If you bought all the parts to make a new car, It's going to cost much more.
Exactly. So the biggest thing is make sure that your coverage is adequate with the new building cost or with the cost of building. You may want to call your agent and say, let's walk through this and make sure that I've got enough. They're going to ask you about the square footage in your home. They want to confirm, because with this pandemic, we're reading that numerous people are updating their homes, renovating their homes.
Right.
They've spent more time at home lately, and they're thinking, well, I really don't like the way this looks, or I think we need to do so and so, and that can add to it. So that would be the first thing. Talk with your agent. Let them know about any kind of changes that you've made to your home or that you're anticipating making. In some cases, say for instance, you've put a new roof on your home during all this pandemic time or whatever, or you haven't let your agent know this, let them know that you've got a new roof on your home. Some companies give a premium credit for that. So that's dollar savings. That's a little bit of money back for what you've invested in that new roof. Those are just, a couple of things. Check to see what your deductibles are so that you aren't surprised in the event of a claim. We have a lot of people who don't realize what their deductibles are. Most companies have a set deductible, and some have, on top of that, will have a separate wind and hail deductible.
I've noticed that, especially with policies being written most recently, that wind and hail provision has been added in because of the recent history of storm loss.
Exactly. We've had so many, and sad to say, but they have replaced so many roofs that probably should have been replaced before the claim ever came about, and therefore that's why they're cracking down on those deductibles. Some companies will insure a roof for replacement cost up to a certain number of years, and then after that it will start to depreciate. So talk to your agent about that. Find out what your deductible is. Find out how that's going to play, because Don, you know as well as I do, in the event of a hurricane, the first and the most obvious part of your house that's going to be damaged is going to be the roof.
Exactly.
And so call your agent, talk with him, ask him or her, what kind of coverage do I have? What kind of deductibles do I have? Is there something that I don't have that I can add that would provide more coverage? Are there discounts that I'm missing? talk with them about those kind of things.
Right, just start a conversation, because there's a lot the agent may not know about your circumstances,
Exactly.
especially like you said, if they've changed since your last conversation. We've had two big storms in recent history here that involved more water than wind. We had Matthew, we had Florence,
Yes.
and people were just flabbergasted with the amount of flooding we had in PD, including here in Dillon and Marion counties, and we had whole towns practically with you know, loss after loss after loss after loss. What has that done to the insurance industry locally? Has it set it back?
I don't think so. Not yet, because the scale on that is the catch-up time, I guess is a better way to put it, if that makes sense. The catch-up time on that is probably 5 to 7 years before we really feel a definite impact. But it has made people more aware of the fact that flood coverage is available.
And it's not automatically included?
No, flood coverage is not automatically included. Different companies have different programs that they have. Some will write just, and it depends on what you want. You can write coverage just on your home. You can write coverage on your home and your personal property in your home. You can even, there are some markets out there that will write just flood coverage just as if you were writing a homeowner's coverage on the house, the outbuildings, the contents, and even loss of use. If you have to be out of your house for so many days, you can purchase that. And depending on where you are, may not be looking at an astronomical amount of money, but in the event of a claim, it would be more than pay for itself.
Right, right. And in areas where whole towns were really affected, like Nichols, for example, on the Marion, Dillon, Horry County line, their recovery has been sped up in areas that were well insured and held back in areas that didn't have any insurance. That again points out the importance of making sure that you're adequately insured. Because
if you are insured, you've got to guarantee that there's going to be something there to help you start over.
Right, right. And on the, you mentioned home furnishings or things that you own that are inside the home. How important is it to document what you have?
One thing I suggest to folks is just with your cell phone, video camera, just go through and video what you've got and then just store it away. If you make a big purchase, go in and do that. Another thing I've stressed to people, if you buy an appliance, a TV, your computer, a refrigerator, anything like that, it comes with an instruction manual. Take the sales receipt from where you purchased it, staple it to the back page of your instruction manual. That's going to give you the date you bought it, where you bought it, how much you paid for it. So if anything ever happens to it, you've got, because they're not going to steal that book. If it gets stolen, if it gets lost or whatever, all of us have a drawer somewhere that has all those things in it, and a lot of them are things that are been gone for 30 or 40 years, but the books are still there. It's what I'm saying is those are not going anywhere, and if you are burglarized or whatever, those things are going to still be there, and you will have all that information.
That's a great idea.
Right there, and if it doesn't include the serial number of those things, write it on that last page. That's going to be part of your book.
Two other points I wanted to bring up. One is we talked a lot about home insurance. What about your car and trucks and other vehicles or boats that might be susceptible to damage during a hurricane?
There again, in most cases, depending on what kind of coverage you have, if you have physical damage coverage, that would be comprehensive collision or other than collision is what they call comprehensive. Comprehensive is fire, theft, vandalism, animal collision, glass breakage, pretty much anything that falls against it involuntarily. Then that's your comprehensive. Your collision would be if you collide with anything other than an animal. Say, for instance, you back into a tree or something like that. So if your vehicle's sitting out there and the tree limb falls because of the storm, you've got comprehensive coverage, you've got coverage for that at that point, okay? Collision, I would think if you're driving, and I've done this, if you're driving and all of a sudden there's a tree down and you don't see it in time and you hit it, that's collision. And you have deductibles for these, so you might want to talk with your agent about what those deductibles are.
Okay. And one last question I want to ask is on the Real fortunate we do have a tropical storm or a hurricane or some other major weather event that causes a lot of damage. What's the best thing as far as kind of a plan of action for someone that has heavy losses?
First thing to do would be see if you can contact your agent, take photographs, and make temporary repairs. Those are the three biggies. Any expense you incur, like you have to go out and buy a tarp to put over something, or you have to hire somebody to help you cover your roof till somebody can come and look at it or whatever. Hang on to those receipts, because in most cases, the adjuster will allow you to use that as part of your deductible because you've already paid it.
Right.
Say, for instance, you have a $1,000 deductible and it cost you $300 to get somebody to help you cover the roof. You're looking at reducing your deductible that they're going to take at $700.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying there? That would be a big thing. But like I said, the biggest thing is contact your agent or your claims rep, take photographs if at all possible, and make temporary repairs.
Okay. Well, thanks for making time to come by.
Thank you.
A lot of valuable information there from Barbara Causey with the Brady Insurance. And we'll be right back after this to take a look at how agriculture is doing going into the prime time of growing season. If you are in the market for a car, truck, or SUV, you have to check out Parker's Used Cars. Parker's Used Cars is on Highway 38 South in Blenheim, located between Latta and Bennettsville. Tommy Parker, the owner, has built his reputation by selling high-quality vehicles for 29 years. You won't believe the selection. You'll have over 600 cars, trucks, and SUVs to pick from. Check them out online at parkersautos.com. That's parkersautos.com. Or call them at 843-528-3301. Parker's Used Cars in Blenheim, Highway 38. And welcome back. I promised to look at agriculture after the break, and here we are being joined by Keith Allen, one of the premier farmers in Dillon County. And Keith, thanks for coming by. I know that you're struggling for rain right now. We had that very, very wet winter, but boy, the past few weeks have been unnormally dry. Where do we sit right now in relation to the big crop fields out there?
The crops are really suffering because of the dry weather. We're about 5 to 6 inches short for this year. Even though we were wet in the winter, it has dried out extremely fast, and the temperature hasn't helped that issue either. The corn right now is the crop that looks like it's suffering the worst because it's the one that needs water real bad right now. But one of our issues is the moisture in the ground, unable to plant soybeans or cotton because the ground is too dry. And if you plant it when it's too dry, you got a chance of the seed not ever coming up.
Right, and we're recording this right as we're coming into Memorial Day weekend, and things are expected to change a little bit going through the weekend and next week. If we start getting some rain, is the corn early enough that maybe it could end up being a good year?
It could be a good year, but we need a substantial rain, 2 to 3 inches of rain to catch us back up. Corn needs about 1.25 inches a week from now on to make a great crop. And to make a good crop, it probably needs 3/4 inch a week.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of times the nature of the beast here is that the rain is not uniform because they're going to scatter showers and storms, and some areas may get that inch or two of rain, and an area a mile away may be sitting, looking at the radar, but not getting any rain.
Yeah, that's the way it seems with us farmers. Our neighbors might be getting the rain, and we complain, but sometimes we all get the rain. So
that's right. That's right.
We all get a blessing sometimes.
I'm glad to use the word blessing because every time I talk to a farmer, I always are impressed that it seems that you'd have to have a good faith in order to be a farmer because otherwise you'd be just a nervous basket case.
And I sometimes am a nervous basket case, but anyway, but I pray and try to ask God to forgive me for my sins and to guide me and direct me.
That's right, and to bless our fields.
Bless our fields.
Talk a little bit about some crops that have a little later season. You mentioned soybean and cotton. Once they're in, can they better handle hot weather?
They can't really handle this type of weather, dry and hot, either one of them. Corn has a very narrow window of where it's going to make or break, and it's during the tasseling time, which is 3 to 4 weeks away. But if we were dry all the way to then, it would already be affected too much.
Right, right.
But soybeans are just, I'd say they're 50% planted in the county, but most people have quit planting because of dry weather. Cotton is probably 70% planted and stopped because of dry weather. I have had to replant some cotton that I planted too dry already this year. So it's just a challenge, but all of the crops need adequate rainfall, and cotton is a long time of setting bolls, starting
Right.
about July the 4th or 5th. It'll be later than that this year.
And then you have to worry about weather during the harvest time because you need good weather for
We
harvesting.
need good weather.
Yeah.
And you were talking about hurricanes earlier, and
Yes, I was about to get to that.
hurricanes do bother cotton at the end, but you know, if we could get some kind of tropical depression now, it would be beneficial to us.
It would be, because a widespread system like that would soak everybody and,
Yeah.
and give you that beneficial rain. And we have had early season tropical systems go through. So,
We have.
So certainly a possibility.
But I'm not praying for a hurricane.
Absolutely, absolutely. I would never do that, because even a tropical storm, if it stalls, can turn from a good thing into a bad thing very quickly.
You're right. Florence, when it moved so slowly and dropped so much rain on us, it was a terrible time.
Yeah, going back to Florence and Matthew, people are always focusing on the impacts as far as flooding and lost homes and everything, but agriculture also took a big hit.
Yes, cotton is extremely vulnerable to that, and peanuts also, because I lost a lot of peanuts in those hurricanes because you turn them upside down and then they mold because of the wet weather. And the cotton gets blown out of the bowl onto the ground, and a lot of people did not harvest any of their cotton after those storms.
Yeah, I remember just sitting out there in the field and there's really nothing they could do.
Nothing they could do.
Nothing they could do. That's so sad to see.
And I picked some cotton after the storm, and I've never had this happen before, but the cotton that was on the ground, the seed that was in the cotton was growing, so I was picking cotton and little tiny cotton plants were coming out of the ground.
Really?
So I don't want to see that again.
No, that was a first you probably don't want to see repeated for sure.
That's right.
Well, best of luck this growing season to you and all the other farmers across Dillon and Marion counties. I know it's always, like you said, even with faith, you got to be a little nervous sometimes. And hopefully we'll get through this dry spell and get some rain on the books and get the season off to a better situation as we go through the next few weeks.
Yeah, and our planting windows got end about July the 1st. We would be past any time to plant any soybeans at that time.
So if you got past July 1st and had to put it in, it'd just be too late.
It's too late for
Okay.
soybeans, and it's already almost too late for cotton.
Okay, well, this show will air all during the month of June, so hopefully by the time we have our next show that will air during July, we'll have some good news to share.
That'll be good.
Very
Thank you.
good. You're welcome. Keith Allen, a Dillon County farmer. We'll be right back after this. If you are in the market for a car, truck, or SUV, you have to check out Parker's Used Cars. Parker's Used Cars is on Highway 38 South in Blenheim, located between Latta and Bennettsville. Tommy Parker, the owner, has built his reputation by selling high-quality vehicles for 29 years. You won't believe the selection. You'll have over 600 cars, trucks, and SUVs to pick from. Check them out online at parkersautos.com. That's parkersautos.com. Or call them at 843-528-3301. Parker's Used Cars in Blenheim, Highway 38. And welcome back to Weather Awareness. Keith Allen with lots of good information about farming across the PD. And speaking of farming, right now we do have Johnny Lures with the Dillon County Chamber of Commerce talking about someone's favorite activity now and then during the summer, the farmers market.
Thank you, Don. Yes, we're excited. We're continuing with our farmers market. It started in the month of May and will continue through the month of October. It's the second Monday of each month, and it's 4 to 7, and each month has a different theme related to it. So you don't want to miss a month, because there are all kind of good little prizes and stuff like that. We have gift cards that we sneak to you and stuff like this, and we have a lot of vendors returning and some new vendors too. So we're real excited.
And I've heard people say that, oh, I missed it, but just remember the second Monday of each month. So it should be pretty easy to get there. For folks that have not been there before, give them a refresher on where it's at.
Okay, it is right across from the Chamber, Katy Corner. It's in the South Plaza area where the fountain is, right downtown Dillon. The train goes by, so you get to wave to everybody, and sometimes it stops. But, you know, we have, it's an excellent market. Like I say, it's growing. It grows every year. It's our pop-up market. Sometimes weather may have an effect upon us, but we're able to, you know, continue on with it. We have vendors that have everything from fresh eggs, honey, local honey, and we also have W.K. Pricing Farms with their beef.
Wonderful beef.
Yes, and then we have, you know, other kind of things too. We have homemade soaps and candles and all types of different vegetables.
Jellies,
and jellies, yes. And then some baked goods too. We have a lot of that. So we've brought in some new vendors, and we're really, really excited this year.
Well, that's exciting. So right through October, second Monday of each month, 4 to 7.
4 to 7.
Downtown Dillon, right off of Main Street.
Right off of Main Street, right across from the plaza where the fountain is, and you can't miss us. Train Depot, and here we are.
Very good. Well, looking forward to more of those events. Also looking forward to hear what's going on with Leadership Dillon County. I took part in that several years ago, and it's been fun watching each class go through and how it changes a little bit. And one year is not quite the same as the next. And going through COVID, I guess that's really going to be true again this year.
That's right, John. Our first graduating class was 2009. We started in 2008, and it's a 9 or 10 month program. We were able to continue with Palmetto Leadership this year, and that is a learning institution. It is, you learn about Dillon County, you learn about yourself, you learn about your state. You may have lived in Dillon County all your life, you may have lived in South Carolina all your life, but I guarantee you, when you walk away from our Palmetto Leadership Dillon County, you're going to learn something new. You're going to take something new away. The friendships you build and make while you're in this group is just absolutely fantastic. You will never meet people the same way again. You learn a lot about yourself. COVID has brought us some new challenges. It's brought us some improvements. I don't like the word changes. It's brought improvements and things we're going to continue with for the years coming. We've decided that we're going to make the program an extra month. That way we can adjust for any kind of weather or any kind of health reasons. We can also have a month that's kind of dedicated to our project. Each year we do a project that we put back in the community. This year we had a group of all ladies, which has been very, very unusual. All females were in the group, and they wanted to do blessing bins. So there's 3 organizations, nonprofit organizations in Dillon County that they're doing blessing bins for, and they're going to be filled with items that the people can use in Dillon County. So each year we do something that we put back in our community. That's great.
That's great. And it's interesting to know that people are looking back at 2020 as kind of a lost year, but for Palmetto Leadership, it wasn't.
No, it was not. We did not. We had to adjust 1 month, and so that's what taught us this year to add an extra, build an extra month in, and we'll be able to use that to our advantage. But we didn't lose a single month. We did not lose a single topic, and we did not lose a single outing of anything we did. So.
That's awesome.
In fact, they added a little extra to it.
There's some new things sprouted out of it. You're exactly right. Well, thanks for making time to come by.
Thank you so much.
Very good. Johnny Lewis with the Dillon County Chamber of Commerce. And thank you for joining us for this edition of Weather Awareness. We hope you catch us next time as well.